Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial companies listed on Nasdaq. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining us this Wednesday afternoon, we have Ryan McCormack, factor and core equity strategist at Invesco, to discuss Nasdaq 100 weekly performance. Ryan, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks. And believe it or not, we're in the second month of 2022 already. Let's take a look at that first week, that week over week performance from January to February in the index.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, Jill. And a good week for QQQ and QQQM, up 6.16% versus the S&P up 4.39%, and S&P 500 value up just under 2.5%. It's nice to see some good news as QQQ wrapped up its worst month since December 2018, and before that, November 2008. But with some of these earnings reports, we've seen dip buyers come back. And today is no exception. We see Alphabet up over 8% as of about 25 minutes ago, after their tremendous earnings report. Revenue that beat expectations and represented 33% year-over-year growth, nearly $62 billion. EPS of $30.69, beating estimates by over 12% or nearly 12%, and 60% year-over-year growth. So, we're seeing these earnings reports continue to flow, and we're seeing pretty good results. And in the case of Alphabet here, really capturing those trends that emerged during the early stages of the pandemic, which was this shift to online, and with that shift to online, we've seen advertisers spend money to where those ads are most impacted and most seen, and Alphabet is taking advantage of that.
And Ryan, when we take a look at sector performance, where are you seeing the leadership there?
Yeah, so I think when we're looking at sectors in general, all sectors in the S&P 500, all sectors with representation in QQQ finished in positive territory for the week. For Qs, tech was the biggest contributor to relative performance against the S&P 500. Its overweights to Apple, to Microsoft, to Nvidia, and Broadcom contributed most to relative performance. And then communication services was the next biggest contributor to that relative outperformance against the S&P 500, led by Netflix, up nearly 25% for the week. And if today's trend continues through the week, we'll likely see a large contribution from Alphabet next week.
And finally, Ryan, let's wrap up with an update on earnings and what you're seeing with Apple.
Yeah, so I think this notion of dip buying was really spurred by Apple's earnings, and they kind of came to the rescue last week. So they reported after the close on Thursday and beat expectations. EPS of $2.10 a share. It's 10.5% better than analyst expectations, and 25% growth year over year. We've seen kind of this big jump up in terms of EPS growth from 2021 through this most recent report, but these are levels only seen a handful of times over the past 10 years. And you look at Apple, the way that they've grown earnings, the way that they've grown revenue. I mean, it's pretty staggering to see growth of this magnitude for a company of this size. Revenue nearly $124 billion. That's better than analyst expectations. That topped last year's Q1 record of $111.439 billion. It's 11.22% year-over-year revenue growth. Just truly a blowout quarter. Stock responded. It traded higher by over 7% on Friday, its best day since back in July 2020. And it was interesting to see that after a warning ahead of the holiday season about iPhone demand, iPhone sales were up 9% year over year to $71.63 billion. And beyond that, we've just seen tremendous growth in Apple devices. And Tim Cook noted that there was 1.8 billion active Apple devices out there. One thing to keep an eye on from Apple, they're investing heavily in an AR VR headset. They see a large opportunity in the metaverse, and I think that along with talking about iPhone being in the early stages of 5G. So, a lot of things to be excited for Apple, and certainly was nice to see that earnings report come through last week.
All right, Ryan, we appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.